Well, we'll see what happened. Let's go.
Welcome to What Had Happened Was.
Where we take a peek into actual court cases and give you commentary based on our unique perspective and experiences, and also give you informational tips and tricks to help you avoid a what had happened situation.
Before we get started, give us a thumbs up, a tasteful comment. Subscribe to the channel to be notified of every video as they come out. All defendants are considered innocent until proven guilty in a court of law.
Putting you in the car. A person can interfere with duties in multiple ways. It's not just one way. Like you go over there and someone else tries to stop an arrest from happening. I don't know. I think that there's enough.
Whisper to me because I want to know what you're about to say.
And if you want time, you guys can go back and talk.
Okay. Well, I got to say,
3 times to search me.
can I have a moment to look at the video here? He's telling me a whole separate fact pattern.
But I need to give them time to be able to look at it too. I mean, it's noon. Why don't we do this? Why don't we roll it to Monday and we can, I'll find it now. We can reapproach Monday morning or tomorrow even. And if you find, you know, if you find a completely set of different facts than to what they're saying on video, I'm all ears. I'm always all ears. I'm always willing to rehear probable cause at any time. I mean, it's not the be all end all. But for now, what they're telling me, if it in fact is the case, there's enough for probable cause to go forward. Is there enough beyond a reasonable doubt? I don't know. But be that as it may, you know. Okay, it looks like they didn't give him a PR bond on this.
Okay.
The bond right now is set at $2,500.
Okay.
Your bond upstairs is set at $5,000. Tell me about that Fort Bend case. Is it old? Is it new?
Let me check, Judge.
I think it's 2023.
Is it? I don't know. I mean, because it looks like you got on probation in October of this year. When you're on probation, dude, on felony probation, you have a freaking halo over your head. You know, you got to be as good as you can. You're facing a lot of time in prison. Have you been to prison before?
Sir. No, sir.
It's not a fun place, you know, and I don't know what we need to do to get your attention, man. In life, if you're with a person that brings the worst out in you, then don't be with that person. There's a gajillion and one fish in the sea, but how can a person get you so wrapped around your finger to make you, you know, just go. It's like a cancer. When you have cancer, if you don't cut it out, it kills you. This is killing you.
I can contact Fort Bend, Judge.
You know, he's trying to, this is sound advice for a lot of things.
Yes, it is.
If it's problematic, leave it alone.
Exactly.
You know, why put yourself in the fire if you don't have to be?
Nope, you don't need to be there.
But wait a minute. According to what they said, the person is pregnant. So is that his baby also? So is this going to show up sometime in what's that child court?
The child support court.
Child support court too. Is he going to wind up on camera in child support court too, after he finishes or whatever? Because at some point, visitation and all this other stuff. This is just going to keep going. Because they said he slapped a pregnant person.
He threatened to slap her.
He threatened to slap a pregnant person.
He threatened to slap this one on this case, and he did slap one before.
Right, so, you know.
I don't know on that one.
And get more information.
Well, it doesn't matter. It's neither here nor there. I'll do whatever you want to do. You want to set tomorrow, Monday?
I'll watch it today and come back tomorrow if you want.
Yeah, I mean, if you want. Surely. Do you have it?
We have the camera, the body camera.
I just shared
Okay,
it.
so
They just shared it with me.
let's roll it to tomorrow. You guys take a look at the video as well. Be prepared, and then we can reconvene tomorrow. For purposes of now, I'll find probable cause, and then we can regroup again tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Okay. All right, Mrs. Zenon.
Hey, come on.
See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
That's a very smart move. Go home, review the tape, see the discrepancies if there's any, and get the best defense the next day for your client. Fight
That lawyer's gonna go through that with a fine tooth comb. He's gonna look for anything.
He definitely is.
Probably gonna agree to disagree here. But I would like for you to watch like the 2 minutes of the video that I think.
So Judge, I also, because you had this question yesterday, I called Fort Bend and they confirmed it. The Fort Bend County aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, it's just sealed, and that's why it didn't pop up.
It's just what?
It's sealed at the moment.
Sealed. Is it a new case? Is it an
It
old
was
case?
just filed in November, Judge.
Wow.
But the offense date was in March.
Okay, so that's what I'm asking. It was the offense date was March of 24.
Yes.
So it was allegedly committed prior to, now nevertheless, it's still a warrant.
It was.
But how on earth has it never been?
It's because, so they'll unseal it whenever an arrest happens, Judge. The case was filed. He had 2 other charges in this county, even that he caught even after that one.
I'm so confused. You know that there's a, Fort Bend knows that there's a felony warrant, a dangerous felony warrant, and they failed to execute that warrant over and over. He's been on probation. He's been meeting with his.
Reading in here that he's got on 2 years probation for, and then had also a UCW here that he caught after that, and another assault of a pregnant person that he caught here after that.
Got to be more careful.
Yes, definitely.
You see, this is a snowball effect.
Yes, it is.
But the charges are not being properly filed, and he has a thing that's sealed. So what did he hit somebody when he was under 18?
Yeah, I guess so.
And now they're bringing it up now because it correlates to whatever's going on.
That's exactly what they're doing.
And another UCW that he caught here after that. So he had just a string of cases, and I mean, the list goes on. But there was just a string of cases that he caught even after that. So I guess they just never, I don't know.
I will tell you the shenanigans from my experience that Fort Bend does. So if they think they're going to TDC, I have seen them let them go to TDC, wait till they even make parole or discharge or finish that sentence, right? And then they're out and they go, oh, now we're going to file you. And then parole goes, oh, now we're going to revoke your parole. Those are the shenanigans that I've seen.
Judge,
and this has been going on for years out there, like prior administration continuing.
But I mean, I guess ultimately at the end of the day, even if that happens, like, let's just say the parole board's going to look and see that it was like extremely old, right? I would have the first time he failed.
I'm not going to read it. It doesn't matter.
Okay. As in,
I mean, it doesn't matter. It's on video. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Insurance required, but
correct.
if he pays.
On video, guys. Like, I watched it. I'm not crazy. Like, this, it's on video.
Sorry to keep
Let's
debating.
talk to Judge about it.
Okay. You're still upset?
Yes, I watched the video and I'm even more upset, Judge.
Oh, you know that sound. This brings us to the end of another episode of the Rockwell Hour. This is a party or an event. I say you ain't got to go home, but you have to get up on out of here. But since it's a TV show, show's over for this week. But tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend about the Rockwell Hour every Saturday, now twice a week, from noon to 1 and from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. So there you have it. This brings us to the conclusion of my 3-part series of the 90s hip-hop mix. There's more music, but I just had to stop right there. It's just too extensive. I'm a little too busy. Nevertheless, see you in the next episode of Rockwell Hour. Again, same bad time, same bad channel. And as always, Rockwell and Godspeed, everyone.
So Judge, we just want to address some of the questions that defense and you had yesterday. Defense was saying that he felt that interference statute was overbroad. We found case law saying that it's, or vague, that it's unconstitutionally vague. We found case law saying that it's not unconstitutionally vague. It's from DeContal versus State. I've tendered it to defense. Can I approach
Sure,
Judge?
I gotta imagine that if it was unconstitutionally vague, someone would have challenged it and it would have,
Well, maybe I haven't had my case yet.
Okay.
and, I'm happy for you to make new law, always. Why are you saying that there's no PC in this case?
Is there a PC for something else? Yes. Is there for the interference with public duties? No. I mean, because it's on video, it didn't happen, Judge.
The defense lawyer is now talking about he's seen shenanigans and political corruption. He's stating on how the mistreatment of defendants in these cases, how he said they're allowed to go and do their time, and they have cases that was something being dealt with while they was already there, and they're playing games and wait till he gets let out and they say, "Oh no, we're gonna file this charge against you now," which is actually that's considered cruel and unusual punishment. That's what that falls under, cruel and unusual punishment, because it's not something that have to happen.
Like, so they get calls for an assault, a disturbance, whatever.
You're telling me the fact that they're saying he goes plank in the car while
He doesn't.
being arrested
He
doesn't
does
happen?
not go plank. It's on video, Judge.
Would they say he uses his, I guess he uses
He's in
his,
handcuffs.
The officer has to place his hand on the chest of the defendant to get the defendant to sit back.
So the defense is arguing there is probable cause, but not for the charges that they're bringing forth against them. They're saying there's no probable cause for interference. There are probable cause for something else that has some of the elements, because some crimes have overlapping offenses, and they have that. But this one, he's saying there's not probable cause for interference.
And if they didn't set the right charges, then he can't be charged with those charges.
Exactly.
In the car, he also has to grab his legs and push them back into the car. We also watched the video. We watched the video and we have a timestamp, Judge.
could it be that okay, so I know that a lot of times when they're putting a defendant into the car, they need help, right? They're unable to do it by themselves, or is he actively resisting getting into the car?
He tried exiting the vehicle, Judge. And
No,
that's why they had to push him back into it.
He leans forward. He's yelling at his mom, record, call. The third time they have taken him out. This is 3 times. They put him in the car and they take him out so they can search him. The cop is sitting there going, "Oh, well, search him again. We can search him 20 times. If you feel you need to search him 20 times, search him 20 times for your safety." The cop doesn't even know what he's charging him with. DA hasn't been caught. The cop's sitting there going, we're getting you for resisting transport.
So he can't win either way, because any movement that he does is going to be, they can consider resisting arrest. So he doesn't do anything and he lets them move him around, and then that's still interfering. So it's just fast and loose with everything.
Yeah, that's how they do it. Yeah, and that's the thing that they do. It's actually it now you brought on unlawful search and seizure, Fourth Amendment. You're breaching Fourth Amendment rights when you do stuff like that, because that's illegal. You can't be both ways.
So it's subject to whatever the officer feels at the time. So if he does come in and when he goes to touch his leg, if he goes to do anything, if his leg hits him, then he'll say he assaulted him. So if he doesn't do anything, then he's resisting. Well,
unfortunately, part of the problem is unfortunately police officers having in mind that you're not allowed to question them on anything. They forget the public servants and forget that they answer to the people, and they forget that they're executing a lawful order. In addition to that, there's also parameters that they have to abide by and stand by. And this is where training comes into play. Unfortunately, some departments are trained very well, and some departments are just like, here's a book, read this on your as you go around. And that's where you have the problems coming at. And a lot of these officers don't have the understanding of the fact that if I stop you, I am allowed to question you. I am allowed to ask you for your identification. I'm allowed to make you prove that you're not who you are, even if you're in uniform, who you say you are. I don't know, you could be some guy with a uniform. I've seen movies, and you're playing games. You're not a cop. I don't know.
Resisting transport. That is what the cop thinks he's taking of it. DA, Officer Singh, it's a 27-minute video. Okay? At no point is the DA's office called to this point. Okay? That happens after. Fine. For an assault, they can argue. I can argue case law. Ford v. State, specific articulable facts of crime may have occurred. Fine. They are there on an assault. Okay? They didn't take an assault. So then they detain him, right? They find that he has the warrant. So, okay, you're taking him in on the warrant. Fine.
Judge, it's
It's
common for officers to conduct an investigation before they call intake. That's not an abnormal thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's neither here nor there, but the question is he impeding the arrest or the function of arrest? Because I guess that you guys are basing the interference on the fact that he's not allowing him that, what's his name again?
Xenon, Your Honor.
Mr. Xenon.
So you have some officers that go out with what's called like a senior officer.
Yes.
They go out with a senior officer, and the senior officer will tell them, hey, if you're here, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. And then they kind of see how the senior officer operates. Well, that's like any other job as well, because when you first start in a job, on any sort of job or career path, whatever, for the most part, you may not know what you're doing. So somebody else who's been there a little bit longer, quote unquote, will show you how to do things. And you could be in one place, like you could work in a fast food restaurant. They say, okay, well, this is how we do the fries here. This is how we do this here. This is how we do this here. And then you could go work for for another restaurant, and they'll say, oh, we don't do stuff like that. That's like everything. But once again,
That's true.
and then you have people that do their own interpretation. So either somebody taught you that, or you thought it was okay to do it, and no one's ever questioned why you did it.
I think it's the latter. No one questioned them.
Is not allowing the officer to arrest him by putting him in the car.
Respectfully, Judge, the officer doesn't even have to be arresting him. They just have to be looking into any legitimate matter. And then he's interfering with that. And I will say, if he'd already been in the car 3 times, like defense pointed out.
So,
What's the definition of interfering?
well, you have to use the core definition of interfere.
Okay.
All right. So it's to enter into or take a part in the concern of others, to interpose in a way that hinders or impedes, come into collision or be in opposition, to strike one foot against the opposite foot or ankle in walking or running, used especially of horses, to act reciprocally so as to augment, diminish, or otherwise affect one another. They usually use that of waves. So I guess when waves, what they consider waves crashing, that's interfering. So yes, he did interfere, because once he came in, he interposed, he behaved in a way that hindered, since he didn't just jump in a car and let them take him away, he hindered or interfered with transport. So once again, we use broad words, and whatever falls under the umbrella works. Is not specific enough. You just say anything. So you just say anything, and of course everything will work, because interfere could have just been a matter of somebody who, when the police go by and people didn't pull over, now they can give them a ticket for interfering.
Right.
Maybe they just couldn't pull over.
So it's very vague, basically.
It is vague.
And this is where the problem comes in with the case law, because now you're going from being very vague to also possibly violating my Fourth Amendment rights. Because even though he's under arrest, there's nothing in the law that says I have to cooperate with you. This is cops and robbers. Everyone knows the bottom line is your job is to take me to jail. My job is to not want to go to jail.
But once again, if he would have done anything and moved himself while he was touching them, he would have said he assaulted him also. So now he's thinking about what's going to be the least thing I can do, probably, that's going to get me in the least amount of problems.
Unfortunately, one of the things that said that they tell a lot of police officers, I've heard them say, is that they're told to, that throw at the wall and see what sticks. So they try and charge as much as they can to see what will stick. And so unfortunately, a lot of crimes overlap with that element of them. That's why we have these situations like this happening like this, because a lot of crimes overlap. The element for assault might be element for something else. Element for interference is an element for obstruction. So that's where you have the problem, man.
Well, interfering could be the same thing like you go to walk into a door and somebody gets there ahead of you. Are they interfering with you? Technically, yes.
Yeah.
But they just happen to be able to walk faster than you.
Right.
So they're interfering. They
Yeah.
got in your way. They might have sped up to hold the door for you.
Right.
But according to you, they interfered with you.
Right. I want to see what this. I'd like to hear what's on this video.
So once again,
They said there's a
the
video.
lawyer's not saying, see, because the lawyer has to walk a thin line. He's saying, I'm not saying that my client is innocent, he's anything.
Right.
I'm saying that the charges that they're putting on him are incorrect.
Correct.
That's it. Which means they got to throw it out and come up with better charges. Which technically, if he does all the things that they feel he does, they're gonna have charges again. The problem is incorrectly charging people. You cannot continue to have incorrect charges and have people languish, and you have incorrect charges. And like he said before, how people sit here and they wait and they do the time they're charged for, and then magically these other charges come up and they say, well, you never served for that. I've heard people who went to jail and then what they came back and brought them up on a small thing that then they said, now you violated your parole when you did that. No, I couldn't have violated. How could they have violated their parole when they did that?
Right.
If that occurred before
right, exactly.
that occurred.
Yeah. These those
That's that fast and loose.
Yeah.
I would think he wouldn't need help getting in. So to us, it appears as though he's trying to push out. The officer has to put his hand on his chest to push him back into the car and then take his legs and place them into the car.
He was cooperative the whole time. He's on his mom. If anyone's aggressive, it's the cop from the beginning.
Judge, the
And
cop-
I ask at the court's discretion, watch the video. You only need to watch like 2 minutes, the 13 to 15 minute mark, Your Honor. I mean, that's all you really need to watch on this.
Judge,
Watch or no?
We can watch the video, Judge.
Cue it up. Let's watch. Can you put it on the screen somehow? So we can all watch?
We can just go to the back and.
And this is where the problem comes in with the case law, because now you're going from being very vague to also possibly violating my Fourth Amendment rights. Because even though he's under arrest, there's nothing in the law that says I have to cooperate with you. This is cops and robbers. Everyone knows the bottom line is your job is to take me to jail. My job is to not want to go to jail.
But once again, if he would have done anything and moved himself while he was touching them, he would have said he assaulted him also. So now he's thinking about what's going to be the least thing I can do probably that's going to get me in the least amount of problems.
Unfortunately, one of the things that said that they tell a lot of police officers, I've heard them say, is that they're told to, that throw at the wall and see what sticks. So they try and charge as much as they can to see what will stick. And so unfortunately, a lot of crimes overlap with that elements of them. That's why we have these situations like this happening like this, because a lot of crimes overlap. The element for assault might be element for something else. Element for interference is an element for obstruction. So that's where you have the problem, man.
Well, interfering could be the same thing like you go to walk into a door and somebody gets there ahead of you. Are they interfering with you? Technically, yes.
Yeah.
But they just happen to be able to walk faster than you.
Right.
So they're interfering. They got in your way. They might have sped up to hold the door for you.
Right.
But according to you, they interfered with you.
Right. I want to see what this. I'd like to hear what's on this video.
So once again,
they said there's a
the
video.
lawyer's not saying, see, because the lawyer has to walk a thin line. He's saying, I'm not saying that my client is innocent, he's anything.
Right.
I'm saying that the charges that they're putting on him are incorrect.
Correct.
That's it. Which means they got to throw it out and come up with better charges. Which technically, if he does all the things that they feel he does, they're gonna have charges again. The problem is incorrectly charging people. You cannot continue to have incorrect charges and have people languish, and you have incorrect charges. And like he said before, how people sit here and they wait and they do the time they're charged for, and then magically these other charges come up and they say, well, you never served for that. I've heard people who went to jail and then what they came back and brought them up on a small thing that then they said, "Now you violated your parole when you did that." No, I couldn't have violated. How could they have violated their parole when they did that?
Right.
If that occurred
All
before
this, right,
that
exactly.
occurred.
Yeah. Those
That's that fast and loose.
loose, yeah. Finally gonna get to that video. This is gonna be very interesting. Watching this video.
Watch it. Do you want to hook it up? I don't, because he has issues hooking his computer up to the technology.
Can you load up on yours?
The whole video, or did you?
No,
want to
just the relevant portion. I don't need to see the whole thing. No, just that part that's relevant. You know, I guess if you want to just put it right there and just turn it around.
Yeah, just put it
Just
up
right
there.
on the table. Yeah, right there. And set it.
I'm just turning the volume up, Judge, as well.
He talking about don't let them pull up. They talking about I got a warrant out for Fort Bend County for assault. Look, he pushing me. Mama, record me. Mama, look, record him. Now you're under arrest.
That's fast and loose. So what was he before you said now you're under arrest? Well, he wasn't before, he's in cuffs. What's going on? Make it make sense. How you put me in handcuffs and then you say now you're under arrest? So then, what was the purpose of putting me in cuffs?
So how did it happen?
Well, the lawyer is saying right here, he's saying the fact that that the cop was, again, he was very aggressive from the very beginning. He was not, over aggressive officer, over asserting his authority. And now, as a result of which, we have this issue. The question probable cause.
So he wasn't arrested when he was already in the car and already had the handcuffs on him. They
That's
hadn't
my
read
question
him
too.
the arrest warrant. They hadn't read him the Miranda rights.
I guess not.
Now you're under arrest.
Yeah.
So he wasn't an arrest in the car, and so he wasn't resisting arrest then.
No.
According to what he said, he wasn't under arrest.
Yeah, so you can't be both.
So he wasn't resisting arrest. Wow. Because he said, now you're under arrest.
Right. So
I don't know.
Fast and loose.
I'm under arrest. Yep, you got a new charge, Bobo. Resisting transport. Resisting? I wasn't resisting. You just resisted transport. Yep.
What the hell is that?
Now you got a new charge. Yep.
Come on.
Thank you, Judge.
Really? That's it?
That's it, Your Honor.
That's the relevant portion that defense is.
Oh, come on.
So that's the relevant portion out of 27 minutes. That's the most relevant part. Wow.
He said, now you're under arrest.
Yeah.
So the whole time he wasn't arrested the whole time.
I don't know what was going on.
See, this is why the lawyer is saying what he's saying, and this is why some cases get thrown out.
Yeah. I noticed they do a lot of probable cause hearings.
A lot of these cases. So this is why they have to have such a high arrest rate, because their odds are bad.
Yeah. See, unfortunately, what happens is the police officers make the arrest and they charge a crime. Then the DA says, no, you can't charge him with that. We can charge him with this. And then they change the elements. Or like you say, they go to the wall, see what stick. They charge 5 things at him. And no, you can't charge him with this. You only charge him with this.
Well, you said that. I didn't say it.
Yeah. Well, that again. No, you said. I'm sorry. In the other video, said they throw it to the wall, see what sticks. And that's exactly what it seems to be they're doing down there. They're just throwing things.
But this is the whole thing.
See what sticks.
It's just they playing a probability game. So if you arrest, this is like Family Feud. So 100 people, they asked 100 people the top 5 things on the board. So now, they ask 100 people, and now they come up. They arrest 100 people, and they hope that out of 100 people, at least 75 of them have been arrested before, have warrants or everything like that. They like to do that in big cities because they figure they're gonna get, but once they get people, so once again the same thing. So like if you grab a mass group of people, you hope they figure I grab a mass group of people. Chances are that within this mass group of people, I'm gonna find what I want from this.
Yeah, that's playing fast and loose, and you're gonna leave yourself open for lawsuits like that and be legally liable for that because you're playing with people's rights. Under the Constitution, you have certain rights that are inalienable and cannot be disputed. And this is where the problem comes in at, because these states, you know, they're going off on their own understanding, and they're not. Again, this is where the difference in a well-trained, well-educated cop and someone who just put on the badge and this guy raised his hand and said, "Okay, go do the job."
Well, once again, it is not. It's what are you well trained for? Because
Yeah.
what are you well trained to do? Are you well trained to enforce the law and do the things, or are you well trained to do whatever you feel like and hope the DA can make something happen out of it?
Right. Well, they're supposed to be well trained to enforce the law.
Because you can sit here and like I said, you can grab 1,000 people. It's the same thing like if you hand out flyers. You can hand out 100 flyers, right? And maybe 10 people will say, "Hey, you know what? This is a great opportunity. I'm going to take advantage of this." 90 people may not. So for the 10 people, it might be worth for that. But
we'll see.
The officer is investigating a legitimate.
I know, but no. All right, I'm with
Do
you.
you see why I'm so upset, Your Honor? Okay. Thank you.
Well, there you have it. He ruled in his favor again. The judge is saying, "Hey, you know, they don't have probable cause. That's ridiculous. You know what I know. This is just, you know, this is shenanigans. You need to stop it."
the judge is saying, "Listen, you have to do better. You want better, you have to do better."
Exactly.
So then now what happens is, so he gets back out. So now it becomes like a persecution now, because now you're gonna make sure you find something. Why don't you just if you just do what you're supposed to do by the book, then you're not gonna have these problems. If you behave properly, then because once again, like if somebody gives you a ticket, if you get a ticket for blowing a stop sign, right? And they'll say, well, at the time you didn't stop properly, you're supposed to stop, and you're supposed to wait at least 5 seconds before pulling forward. Like, you have people that think that stop and stop all the way.
They think stop is a nice idea.
They think stop just means like you can roll on through, and stop all the way means you have to stop.
Yeah.
Stop and stop. Because if somebody was doing something to you that you don't like and you want them to stop, you don't want them to kind of stop and keep going. You want them to stop and not continue at all.
Correct.
Thanks for watching.
And also give us a thumbs up, like, comment, share. Subscribe to the channel and you'll be notified of every video as they come up. And get that algorithm going and help us build this channel.
And make sure that you don't wind up in a what had happened situation. Bow, bow, bow.